What did you make? What did they tell you?
We made paper cranes for the Japanese lady to help her feel better.
When I heard about making paper cranes, I'm like, why are they called paper cranes? Why can't they be called swans? Everyone knows they could be paper swans, and it was very crazy.
Had you ever done origami before?
Yes, I've made a pig.
What was easier, the pig or the crane?
The pig.
What happened with your crane?
Well, it was a bit hard to understand, and...
Did it end up looking like a crane?
No, not really.
What did it look like?
It looks like a funky chicken.
I've never seen a funky chicken, so I'm just going to take your word for it.
Yeah. When I heard about it, I'm like, I don't really do origami, but it works. My second one looked a bit better, and then I wrote on it, get well.
And did you hear how special that made the recipient of that gift feel?
Yeah, it made him feel really happy, and he sort of started to cry.
Oh, but they were good tears.
Well, yeah, they all made him cry.
That's a good thing, right?
Yeah, it's a good thing. When I started doing my haiku poem, all the kids were almost done. I'm like, I gotta hurry up here. All the kids were rushing. They're like, yes, this is it. And all the kids knew what the poems were, and I'm like, oh, I'm left behind. Maybe I'm the one who just doesn't really know about haikus.
Were you surprised that it had such an impact?
Well, I was kind of trying to understand that small kids from a long way away could do something for someone who needs it, and they're a long way away. She wrote back to us saying, I can't believe some kids from Toowoomba are doing something for me to help me. And it was really nice.
How did that make you feel?
Happy.
This was never planned. This was not a planned thing. This was complete chaos at play, and it was just one of these ridiculously well-timed events that happened. I'd run into Emma and had a bit of a chat about what the lighthouse was doing, and I was interested to see where they were going with things. And at the same time, I had a desire to go down and see the Japanese ambassador. Obviously, there's a lot of trade from our region that's very interested in what's happening in Japan, and they're very interested in what we're doing. So I was interested in more the economy side and representing my region, seeing what we could do to help us have better connections. There was nothing here about kids and origami at the start in any way. But what sort of struck was the terrible, sad timing of Shinzo Abe's assassination. So look, when the lighthouse was doing origami, it just sort of struck in the back of my mind. I thought, there's an opportunity here. Yeah. We could do something. And of course, as soon as we started talking, I don't even know how the plan came together. I can't remember, but by the end of it, we both sort of were quite excited about the thought of this, The idea of kids from Toowoomba, and I love this thought, kids from Toowoomba could make a little paper crane, reach out across the world and put it into the hand of Shinzo Abe's grieving widow.
Yeah.
What a thought.
And we got to the end of the workshop, and every single child gifted their haiku poem, which they were very ratty and very funny. Their cranes, I will say, I know the children will listen to this in the future, but they did look like ibis versus cranes. A few little twisted heads and whatever.
Oh, the neck length was not okay on most of them. Yeah.
Anyway, and I think that Garth thought that, he would have a bag that would go in his suit bag, whatever. But no, it was a hard plastic container with a removable lid with a pile of cranes in it that he had to tuck under his arm. And I so wish we had a photo of him going through the airport in Canberra with it tucked under his arm. Yeah,
The box
absolutely.
full of paper bin chickens.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know what I was picking up.
Yep.
And I was very lucky that my wife was working there at the time to make that handover work quite well, quite frankly.
Yep.
But to get them in a big clear box where there was everyone could see what I was carrying. I don't know what people would have thought. It probably did look like I was an overdressed kindergarten teacher at that point in time, but no, very happy to carry them on, because I got to tell you, a lot of people did see that, and I got a few nice looks, a couple of smiles.
Isn't that a nice dad?
Yeah, absolutely. That's probably what they thought, yeah.
So then Garth takes them down, requests an audience with the Japanese ambassador with this gift of cranes from children in Toowoomba.
I hadn't realised the Japanese ambassador, Shingo Yamagami, he'd been appointed by Shinzo Abe.
Yes.
And had some kind of a friendship there and a deep respect.
Yep.
It's not often you see a Japanese man in that position reflect with a level of emotion like that. It's a very unique experience.
Yep. And
I'll never forget him sort of sighing, looking at this scene, reflecting and sighing and saying, Abe-san. It was one of those moments that you realise, oh goodness, this is quite powerful, isn't it?
Yeah.
And to be part of that was extraordinary.
There's a very moving image of one of the cranes that one of the children made with "I hope you're okay" on it. And he is nursing it like a little tiny bird that's just fallen out of a nest. He was so moved by it, reduced to tears.
The lovely part afterwards, Shingo and I sat and had a conversation. His father had been a pilot for the Japanese.
Yep.
And my grandfather had fought the Japanese in Papua New Guinea. And we were smiling, reflecting upon how much things change. That our backgrounds could bring us to a point where we were sitting in the Japanese embassy in Canberra, having a lovely cup of tea. Yep. And reflecting upon how close and how important our ties were as nations. Absolutely. Now.
And then after that, Garth rang and said, "You won't believe what has happened." We didn't believe what had happened, that the ambassador had written back, but accompanying the letter was a letter, one in Japanese and then a translation from Mrs. Abe herself, thanking the children for such an incredible gesture. And if that was a precursor to the future of Japan-Australia relations, then good things are ahead. So then to be able to then come back and share it with the children, to then record it in that book, we needed it to come back to a format that they could see that the smallest gesture and the smallest piece of paper could indeed make an incredible difference if it was with a heartfelt story.
Oh, goodness me. One of those things that gives you little goosebumps, because there's no way this happens planned. You can't sit down and say, we're going to do this. And what a great example for these kids to say that, you can impact things that seem not just far away geographically, but out of a strata that you could even hope to deal in.
I was suddenly very emotional reading the response as well, and it was a very special moment, and I was quite taken back, because at that point in time it was quite overwhelming as to the enormity of what just happened to me. I just did a tiny little exercise, a little workshop with the children. I'd never done any sort of workshop before, and I did not expect this as a part of the reaction towards agreeing to just doing a simple workshop.
Creativity is not a nice to have, it's something that brings the world together. I think it's a great example.
You can make a difference just by doing the smallest of things, really.
For us personally at the Lighthouse, the mantra that we then needed to have was never be too busy, because you'll miss the conversations and the opportunities that the community is gifting us.
It's really a snowball effect, isn't it? From just having a quick yarn to someone I didn't even know, and then how it flows on from there. It's like, it comes back to, it's like the power of the people, isn't it? If people have good intentions, there's plenty of good can happen out of it, I think.